What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. With that being said, I wanna speak on a post that I recently seen. It came across my feed, and the question was who is better, right? Who's a better ball player? And you always hear you hear this these two guys come up from time to time because people want to know like who's the best guard, you know, um, and the best point guard. And really, Allen Iverson, is not a point guard; he's a shooting guard. But but people still compare Allen Iverson to Isaiah Thomas, right? And so now I'm gonna break it down for who I think is the best between Allen Iverson and Isaiah Thomas. Um, I first started became well, I first became aware of Isaiah Thomas when he was at Indiana University, right? He played for Bobby Knight. Isaiah Thomas was out of Chicago, and I think he played 2 years. I think he played 2 years at Indiana. And I don't think he won a champ. Did he win a championship? I'm not sure. I think he did win a college championship. But anyway, he was that dude though at Indiana. Bobby Knight loved himself some Isaiah Thomas, man. Isaiah Thomas was tough and he was a loyal ball player. Like I think Isaiah and Bobby Knight had a special relationship, you know. And so yeah, I'm trying to think what year did Isaiah go to the NBA? It was 81, 80, 81. So I think it was 81. He went to the NBA, Detroit Pistons. And the Detroit Pistons basically built around Isaiah Thomas. And so and the first few years when Isaiah was there in Detroit, they didn't really have a good team. They built piece by piece they put around Isaiah. And also it was a learning curve. Like, you had Boston who was strong, then you had the Lakers who was strong. And so the Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons really had to learn how to win and stuff like that. But Isaiah still, from day one, Isaiah still was like a tough competitor. Um, he was the man on Detroit from day one. It was all about Isaiah, and so I was always a big fan of Isaiah. I like Isaiah because you following his career, you just got to see his progression. And and I thought that was good for basketball. I like to see the players progress and get better and be able to persevere and overcome. You know, I remember one year when the Detroit Pistons was playing the Boston Celtics in the playoffs, and Isaiah, at a crucial time, Isaiah took the ball out of bounds and threw a pass that was intercepted by I forgot, did Dennis Johnson intercept it or Larry Bird? But anyway, either I think either Dennis Johnson intercepted the pass and gave it to Larry Bird, or Larry Bird. And anyway, Isaiah threw that pass, man, and they had almost had the Celtics beat that game, but he threw it. Boston stole the ball, scored, and won the game, man. And it was just heartbreaking. It was just a heartbreaking situation, man. But Isaiah was able to, he got past it, got over it, came back, and won two championships. So I thought that was good, for Isaiah to be able to persevere. It was good for Isaiah um, and the loyal fans in Detroit. That's why Detroit fans love Isaiah. But then now you have Allen Iverson out of Georgetown, and Allen Iverson they didn't win a champ. Georgetown didn't win a championship when Allen Iverson was there, right? They had won it few years like a few years before he got there with Reggie Lewis. No, I'm sorry, Reggie Williams, Patrick Ewing, David Wingate, Michael Graham. You know those guys. You know they had won a championship. I think that was back in like '84 when when they won it. But then, like I said, Allen Iverson came there, and Allen Iverson was tough defense. Could score. Just and was lightning fast, man, athletic and lightning fast. And Allen Iverson had a pretty good career at Georgetown. Like I say, they didn't win it, but he had some epic games, some epic matchups against like Ray Allen. He had some matchups against who else? He epic game. Stephon Marbury. When they played Georgia Tech, he had some epic matchups against Stephon Marbury. So in college, man, Allen Iverson college career was pretty good too. In my opinion, it wasn't as good as he didn't have the type of success that Isaiah did, but he had a pretty good. He was that dude in Georgetown. He was that dude. And then but when he got to the league, he was drafted by Philly, the 76ers. He was drafted by the 76ers. Um, and from day one, again, it was all about Allen Iverson. He hit the ground running. He was they built a team around him. And a few years they came. Well, one year they actually made it to the finals. They played. Who did they play? They played the Lakers. They won that first game in that series, and then after that, the Lakers just gave them that work and got them out of there. But like who had the best NBA career? In my opinion, it was hands down. It was Isaiah Thomas. But who was the best player out of the two? And again, as much as I'm an Allen Iverson fan, but as much as I like Allen Iverson, I gotta be honest, man. It's Isaiah. Isaiah was like for team chemistry. Isaiah could do it all. I mean, he could be a point guard. He could be a two guard. He could pass, shoot. Um, he was a scorer. He could run your offense. Isaiah, as a guard, really could do it all. I think as a guard, only guard that was probably better that ever played probably was Magic. But as far as like small guards, Isaiah was that dude. And I think most people will tell you that watch basketball, in that era, like Isaiah is probably I think even Michael Jordan say Isaiah is the second probably best guard in NBA history. Um that's just how good Isaiah was. Nobody couldn't really, he couldn't compete with well, he could compete with Magic, but he wasn't on Magic level. Isaiah definitely wasn't on Magic level. But yeah, Isaiah, man, in my opinion, I think Isaiah probably was definitely a better basketball player than um than Allen Iverson. Isaiah won 2 championships. And like I said, you saw just Isaiah just get better, learn how to win in a tough league that like when I they was the NBA was so tough when Isaiah was there. It was just tough, man. And so, but Isaiah was able to persevere and he won 2 championships, with the Pistons, led them to 2 championships. Now, I, and like I said, Allen Iverson was for a long time was my favorite basketball player. Well, second favorite to Michael Jordan. But Isaiah, man, like I said, he just learned how to win, overcame, and won 2 championships. I think if Allen Iverson had won some championships, 1 championship, it would be closer. But yeah, it definitely was Isaiah Thomas. I think Isaiah Thomas just did so many different things. I think there were some things that that Allen Iverson could have done better that he didn't do, and that was because Allen Iverson was kind of stubborn and he was setting his ways. But man, shoot, and, and looking back on it, I don't think even though Allen Iverson was a gifted athlete, I don't think Allen Iverson was as dedicated. Like Allen Iverson was, all his talent was so, it was God given talent. It was natural physical ability. But he didn't develop his game. He didn't have that work ethic like Kobe. Allen, now don't get me wrong, like Allen Iverson played hard. He played hard on the court when he was on the court, but he wasn't dedicated to the game like Kobe was. Like Allen Iverson did other things off the court. Like when it was time to leave the court, Allen Iverson left and he went off and he did his thing. Whereas though somebody like Isaiah, was a gym rat, but Allen Iverson, and I heard George Lynch said it's like Allen Iverson was so good that he didn't even have to practice, and so that right there, believe it or not, was his downfall and just stunted his growth. When you have somebody who is as good as Allen Iverson and he didn't have to practice even at the NBA level, you know, um, that right there, just if he'd have had the work ethic of somebody like Kobe, he already had the determination and he hustled, but he just he didn't have that you know, I don't know what to say. He wasn't like Kobe. He wasn't a gym rat like Kobe, but every game, Allen Iverson left it on the court. He left everything on the court. And so, but yeah, man, it's still no matter how you slice it, in my opinion, it's Isaiah. Isaiah is the second best point guard of all time. In my opinion and a lot of people's opinion, it's Isaiah Thomas. And so, with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.